Hey guys, my name is Commander Barnes, JOP Enforcement Agency. I am a private security company. We're based in Minnesota. And today I actually want to talk about and share with you guys a lot of questions that potential clients ask me, or I get asked by, average citizens of what security officers set the tone for. Um, Now, in the recent years, after George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd, um, here in Minnesota, it sort of it was a wake up call, not only for police but for security officers as well. We don't take the training like cops do. Well, I take that back. We do take the training of cops do, but specifically in firearms and defense tactics. But it's interesting because when we end up being in a situation where we have to use our tools, um, by law, we're actually breaking a lot of rules, and that's what the average citizen don't understand. For instance, I'm actually involved in a court trial of a guy. I was working a site. This is July 4th, or the day before July 4th, July 3rd, and I was working um, a park in the city of Minneapolis. And if the people that watch this video, this from Minnesota, if you know where Boom Island is, it's along the Mississippi, and it is quite a big area. There's gazebos, there's barbecue grills, and it's made for recreational leisure. And when my agency gets contracted for a job, um, we try to enforce the rules and the boundaries, and sometimes laws or city ordinances if it does come to that point. And in the situation, this guy had, I guess he was a homeless guy, and he was kind of off in a cut. When I say cut, he was kind of secluded, near some trees, and I just so happened to patrol and walk around. Now, the reason why I would be patrolling, people's going to ask, why were you patrolling? Mainly because there was a setup. There was actually a 5K run, and it's this company, called Twin Cities in Motion. It's like an organization, but these guys, they set up different triathlons throughout the city of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and they specifically work with the park board. Now, Minneapolis has a park board. It's called MPRP, Minneapolis Park Recreation Board, and they also have their own police department. So they specifically patrol and do law enforcement services for the parks. Now, they do have, because I mean, a lot of people kind of get it frustrated, or kind of questionable, because Minneapolis park police officers wear the same uniforms as the city cops. And so they drive totally different cars. They have totally different lettering and numbering on their vehicles. And they also have a non-sworn section of park police called Park Patrol. And these officers, they call them agents. These agents are pretty much like a CSO, or reserve, even, if you will, to help park police and supplement officers. And so, as I'm patrolling, I hear this noise, and I kind of look, and there's this guy, and he kind of startled me because I wasn't expecting him to be there. And so I shine my flashlight, and I said, "Hey man, how you doing?" I said, "Everything all right?" I want to make sure he wasn't, hurt, or um, in danger or anything. And this guy, really combative. And I kind of noticed there was literally a gallon of vodka, a bottle of vodka on the ground. So I knew he was drunk. Obviously you could tell he was drunk. You could smell it on him as well. And I asked him, I said, "Hey, my man, you really can't be in the park right now. The park is closed." Now, by law, I can actually enforce that rule, and that park code, because I was contracted to do so. And after midnight, there's no police service from the park police. They shut down at midnight, and then they do their thing the next day. And so, when I, um, you know, in my experience in 22 years I've been doing private security, rookie move is you tell somebody to do something and you walk away. Um, that person, number one, is not going to respect what you say, and a lot of people, they hate police and they hate security. I'm gonna just be real, because you have a job that you're telling somebody what to do, and like I said, setting the tone is very important, because it's the way you say it and how you say it to the person. Um, and I was 100% respectful with this guy. Then the unthinkable happened. I mean, he started digging around in his bag, and with my training, you think, okay, what are you grabbing for in that bag? And so I let him know. I said, bro, if you pull something out that you shouldn't really have while I'm talking to you, and I don't know if you have a weapon, gun, knife. I don't know what you have, but if it is something like that coming from that bag, I'm finna pop you. And I had my taser and also my firearm, and so I didn't want to shoot this guy with the taser. I didn't want to even deploy my gear until he got up, and he had a pair of scissors, and he went like this towards me. He advanced towards me. I drew my taser, and I turned it on, and I had it ready and aimed in his center mass. And I said, bro, step back or you're going to get tased. And I told him this 3 times. The third time, when I told him, there was a bystander that was watching the whole thing. She calls 911. And she's telling the dispatcher what's going on. And I'm fully in full uniform. I have my vest on. In the back, I got my company JOP on the back. So obviously, she knew I was security. And so she said, yeah, security's out with this guy, and the security guy got his taser out, pointing at him because he's coming at him with a knife. And yeah, that's how that happened. And so he actually complied and went back. And I stood my ground. I stood right there because he wasn't gonna go anywhere. You just committed second-degree assault, and I'm doing a job. I'm on official business, so I can't have that. So the lady gives me the phone to the dispatcher, and the dispatcher asked me, okay, what's going on? And I told her who I was and what I'm doing in the park. And that's very important when you're on the phone with law enforcement or 911 dispatch. You have to tell them who you are, but also why are you there? Because it's what, when, where, why. That's pretty much training. And so I told her who I was, what I was doing at Boom Island, and that I was contract security service. And then I told her, yes, I had a guy that I'm trying to tell, I don't want to say order, because when you say words like that, you kind of misconstrue what you do as security. And we're not police officers, but in the state of mind, we have to kind of puff our chest out a little bit, what they call a command presence. And so I told her, I said, yep, he came at me with a pair of scissors, and I drew my taser. I got him at taser point at this time. He's moved back since then, but he's still in the same area. And she said, okay, we're sending squads out now. And they were flying. They got there quick. When they got there, it was one officer at the time. He drew his gun automatically and ordered the man out. And so the man had came out, and he was drunk. He really didn't want to comply with the officer. And I had my taser still on him when I'm with the police officer there, because he was. And I asked him, I said, "Are you by yourself right now?" He was like, "Yeah, there's more units coming." I said, "Okay, I'll cover until we can get sufficient units here." And he agreed. And so I held him at taser point. He had him at gunpoint, and he did his, commands, his, getting him, to comply with the commands. And we finally got him to custody. His partner showed up, and then the partner, she was like, okay, where's his stuff? And so we walked over to where he was, and I told her exactly what the knife looked like. It was black handled with the, silver, like a normal pair of scissors would, minus this, it was black, but, it was unbelievable. And it was adrenaline was rushing at this point. And so we handled that, and we got him to custody. And then towards the end of the arrest, were trying to get him in the squad car, and I kind of noticed, they were kind of struggling with him, and so I stepped in and offered my assistance. And in the midst of all of this, the guy headbutts the police officer in the head, and all three of us, we just threw him in the car and shut the doors. You know what I'm saying? And my number one thing was, is the officer okay? And so I asked the officer, I said, hey, man, are you good? I said, because you got a welt on your head, man. He hit you pretty hard. And he goes, do I? I'm like, yeah. I said, look in the mirror. And I kind of, turn the mirror. And he looked. He goes, shit. And I said, call EMS, call your sergeant. Now this is an assault now on you. So now we have to do it. And I'm your witness. I'm your number one witness. So at that time, my agency, we have body cameras now. And it was something that I didn't want to really do, because I'm not law enforcement. But at the end of the day, it's their word against yours. That's one thing you'll learn in security. When you're in a situation where you're a witness to something, and you've seen something, and you know what you saw, and then the other person comes up to you, or they put their statement in, and then they say, oh well, no, this happened, and cops, one thing about police is when they're interviewing somebody, on a call, the complainant, obviously called the police and said this happened, right? And now the other person that is involved in the situation says something else. Cops ask a lot of the same questions to both parties to see if their stories will match, to make sense of the story, and then carry on the enforcement detail of what crime had took place, if there was a crime that took place. And so that's one thing I try to use too when I'm in the field. There's many, fights are a common thing that security break up. I worked in bars, I worked in clubs, I worked in retail, I worked in multi-residentials, I worked everywhere. And one of the sites I had out here, it's a big apartment building. It's like a 5-building apartment community, all 1-bedroom apartments, 834 units. It's a big freaking area. And we were unarmed. When I first started there, I was unarmed. So to be unarmed and work in an armed site like that, man, you kind of got to have a lot of people knowledge, how to talk to people. And they loved me and my partner out there. That I was probably the best officer, and I was lead. So, I made a lot of decisions. I took, I don't know how many guns out of this place. It was, oh man, the place is insane. But in my years, taking a tone with people really predicts how that going to end for you as an officer. And I teach my officers to always set the tone, always be respectful, because I'm going to be real. The community wants the police. I'm going to lie to you. They really want the police. And that's something that this society and this community will not back up. But I'm going to be real. These people want the police. They want protection. They want these officers to be respectful and treated fairly. And that's the main thing I teach my guys. Treat everybody with fairness and respect, because it comes a long way. There might be information that is left out in a situation, and because the way you come at that person, you might get a little bit of information. When I worked at this multi-residential, there was a kind of a domestic disturbance. Security don't deal with domestic. This is a police matter. But they call us first, because a lot of these people in that community did not trust the police. And so when we came in, we went to the building, and they pointed directly who was involved and what it was. And I said, were there any weapons involved? They're like, no, there was no weapons, just fists. And there was a boyfriend and girlfriend. And we practically separated them because we didn't want them to engage each other again, and then it'd be out of control. And so I had my partner cover the male, I covered the female. And then when the police arrived, they showed up, and I immediately told them who I was, what I'm doing here. But then okay, we got called for this domestic. I don't know if they called you guys, but, we're not police. We just separated them just to, calm and de-escalate the situation. cops, they thanked me and they said, well, we'll take it from here. And then I handed it over to them. And, we still stayed on scene to provide cover for them, but also to get the public around there. Because, when you see squad cars show up, at a scene, you get, people are curious, they want to know what's going on. And we had a lot of residents, hey, what's going on, Barnes, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, it's domestic, ain't nothing too serious, man, just, carry on, and they're, in a lot of ways, I miss working there. I do. That was a really good account that we had. The agency I was with before I owned my own company, we've held that for about 10 years. So, we had a variety of officers that, made the cut, and then we had certain officers that didn't make the cut. And so I'm glad I made the cut, and I was lead and I was in charge, and that's it. But I just wanted to share that with you guys today. Setting a tone is a very important thing in private security. And when you learn that, and people are very interesting. Watching people is very interesting. I've done retail in the past, and retail. I could tell somebody who's going to steal something just by when they walk in the door. I can just tell. You've been in this as long as I have. You know when a thief is walking in your establishment. And yeah, some of my predecessors in the past, some of my old commanders and bosses and chiefs, they used to tell me, never take this job personally. I take it personal. I'm saying this to the world. I'm saying this directly to you. I take it personal, because some people, they just don't have respect. And I look at it as, if I'm working a retail store, it could be H&M or Nordstrom's or Bloomingdale's or Sears or whatever store, and I'm charged of, number one, being seen, number two, deterrence, and number three, respect. And when I work at retail, I set the tone where, I don't speak to people. People say, oh, hey, security, how you doing? That's it. I'm not there to hold a conversation. I'm there to watch. And I'm gonna tell you something. Some of these shoplifters are professionals. And then you just got some shoplifters that just are stupid amateurs, don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just in there to win it, to steal. And I have a very high percentage rate of apprehensions and arrest in retail. And the thing about shoplifting itself, in security, I'll be the first one to tell you this. In security, there's 6 things that you have to watch out for when you're working at a high end or whatever retail store. There's 6 steps that you have to take. Number 1, they have to walk in the store. If they don't walk in the store, what case do you have? Number 2, how I work is I am a uniform in the store. So my job is to be at the door of the store. And, there's some companies that would say, or there's some clients that would say, yeah, greet all the customers. I like it and I don't like it. I'll tell you the reason why I like it. The first reason why I like it is when a potential suspect comes in and is on that intent to try to steal something, you want to greet them, because that's the first step of deterrence. You greet them, let them know who you are. Not saying, oh, I'm security, but you let them know, hey, I'm here and I'm watching. Second thing I don't like about it, mainly the thing I don't like about the negative, is that you repeat yourself. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? That gets boring 8 hours a day. I ain't gonna lie to you. There's just sometimes I'm not gonna say anything, because I'm watching a certain situation. I remember this one girl. I was working at H&M at the Mall of America. That's a very, very high theft store at the mall. We have LP that's in a security office watching cameras, and then I'm on the floor. We have communication with one another through radio. And so There could be, I'm seeing shit from a certain situation, and on the floor. I don't have that bird's eye view. I don't have the zoom in and zoom out effect like a camera. I'm practically human. I'm standing there and I'm there. And so when I heard on the radio, yeah, you have a black female that is concealing. So my job is to go over to where they dispatched me at and deter the situation. So all I have to do is simply walk by her, and um, that's pretty much the deterrence, angle. There's just some thieves that just don't give a shit about that, and they just keep concealing. And this girl was one of those people who concealed. Um, the craziest thing is she had a kid with her, and if you're a parent like I am, that just pisses me off. It really does, because now you're setting the tone to tell your kid it's okay to come in the stores and steal. And I preach that to every suspect I stop that has kids that do that. I'm like, man, you're really setting a good example for your child, and it really is technically not my job to say that. But like I said, I take this job very personally. And if you don't have compassion in this job, you need to find another one, because you worked as long as I have. The, you grow into the compassion. You love what you do. And I love my job. I love what I do. I love helping people. I love protecting people. I love um, being around people and showing them that I'm here to serve and I'm here to protect them. And there's a certain way JOP does security. We run off a 21st century basis where training is our number one thing. We train, 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 train. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to call one of my officers' family members and say, yeah, something terrible's happened to your son or daughter or whoever. And as a commander, I take that very seriously. Officer safety is number two in my company. I take that very seriously. If my officer doesn't feel safe in a situation, I'll tell them get out of there and I'm on the way, and I'll handle it myself. But I just wanted to share that with you guys today. There will be many more videos. It's actually my first video I've actually posted on this on my channel here. Leave comments. Go right ahead. I respond to comments. Don't be afraid to ask me questions. I love to answer questions in my experience of private security. And yeah, I'm very happy to answer questions and let you know things that are going on in our industry. And I'm gonna tell you something. Our industry is growing. It really is. Especially here in this state where I'm at, in Minnesota. We're growing. After George Floyd, it changed the tone for us as security. People don't trust the police no more, and we're literally then at the last line of defense. And I want to share this with you also before I get out of here. I even tell my guys what I do in my training. I go through defense tactics. I go through taser. I go through handcuff. I go through mace. I go through even batons. We kind of I have dummy suits where, we can hit each other just to see what the effect of, these weapons and tools can do. I'm not a certified firearms instructor. I go through an outside agency for that, for my arm guys, and it's all state ran. Great guy that I go through training with, great guy. And I've been trained with him and other agencies I work for. So I give my shout outs to that person. Probably know who they are. They're good people, and I tell my guys that are armed to go to them. But also, I also teach security ethics, which I don't really know any company that does that here in this state. I don't know if this is throughout the country, but I teach security ethics. The first thing I teach is what is our job description? What are we there to do? Your job is to protect assets or people or a object, or it could be anything. Clients call you for anything they need security for, and so we kind of have to fine dine them. to make sure that, number one, we're getting a revenue, the company's getting revenue, but two, um, I um, I like to work with people's budgeting, because budgeting is an important thing in anything, owning a business, or owning your own house. There's things you have to do with that house to upkeep it, and keep it fine tuned. And clients, I do have picky clients. I do. They are very, 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 very picky. And like I said, I try to fine dine them, and when you fine dine them, it's that's more money in your pocket. Um, I don't believe in paying my officers under 15 an hour. I think that's bull. I pay my guys 20 and up. My captain, he's at 21 an hour right now. He's the highest paid officer in my agency. Um, and I believe in my people. And that's one thing um, that I've learned from other agencies that I work for, that some of these agencies don't care about their people. Um, I can count probably on my one hand how many chiefs that has helped me in situations, personal even situations. I can actually count on my hand who actually back me up and who does take care of their security officers. Um, but I go over and beyond for my guys. I want them to be trained the best way possible. I want them to be alert of what's going on around them. But not only that, I want them to make money, and make good money as well, so they can prosper in their future, and support their families, and whatever they got going. Um, so ethics is a big thing I teach at JOP, and I even go as far as report writing. You don't find agencies that actually show their officers how to write a report, an incident report, how to write a DAR, how to the administrative stuff of the job. I teach that as well, because it's very important. In this court case I'm going in now, next month, my report was so good that it was used as evidence for this case. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, because it's how you word certain things. And when you do that, you'd be amazed what can happen. And hopefully this guy could get prosecuted, because this guy has a long rap sheet of assaulting, not even just security officers, but police officers. He's assaulted many police officers, so he needs to be prosecuted. And the street should be safer with him in jail. So, well, I'm gonna end this video. If you like what you see, there's gonna be way more videos coming out. I can probably get you in some of my training videos as well, because I'm trying to build an empire, and sometimes you got to start small. And I started small. I've been in business for 2 years now. Technically, in Minnesota, I've been here for a year. I've been in operation for a year, but technically, it's been 2 years. Man, it's been a long journey. As you can see behind me, there's my logo. And a couple of pictures of me and different agencies I worked for, different ranks I've held, and it's been a journey. So I want you to join the journey with me, and I'm going to be periodically putting videos here on YouTube and showing you what JOP is all about. A lot of people's like, what's JOP stand for? And it means justice, order, and peace, and that's actually what my name stands for. So my first name, Dallas. So that's what it means, and that's what I am. This is all me. So like I said, man, smash that like button and subscribe to me, and there's gonna be a lot more content coming out. Just bear with me. I've been very busy beginning of the year here. I got taxes to do. I got hiring to do. I got accounts I got to fill. It's been a madhouse in this office, but I signed up for it. This is what I wanted to do, and it's part of my job. So like I said, man, subscribe, like, and we'll see you next time. Peace.